can be only one podcast, and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks. I'm Matt.
And I'm Wes.
Hey. Welcome back.
So glad to be here once again in the house that Cuckoo built.
I'm telling you. Yeah. We did plenty of sound checks the other night. So
Excellent.
we're super good. But anyway, well, this was for Mikey from Saturday Morning Sam Flange had asked me if we could start doing wrestling topics because he wants to talk about wrestling. He just got back from Royal Rumble.
Oh, okay.
He went to Royal Rumble. He had a good time, and he wanted to talk about just wrestling in general. He goes, do you do that? So actually, Wes was just talking about we should get back to wrestling because we dip into wrestling every so often. And I said, well, why don't we have you both on? He said, yeah, I'd love that. And he's not here. And it's too bad because he's about the same as you, big in the 80s, big in the 90s, knows plenty about it today, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was his idea, but he sent me it because of some last-minute shenanigans at the house. He couldn't make it. And and like I said, we'll have him back because there's plenty of other topics we discussed, and these were just two of them. And so this is, and not in any order, but best matches. Now, there's a lot of good matches out there, and we're obviously going to leave a lot out, you know. I say I don't have that many. I have a few that I recall that I thought were great, but remember, mine's limited to that scope in the late 90s. So, you know, I won't have any of today's matches or yesterday's matches from the 80s on there. And I don't even think I have 5 when I broke it down. I can't remember. But I'll rumble mine off later. But I am interested if any of these will be in yours as well. Because some of these are... I knew one of his already and probably could have guessed the second or third one there. But either way, though... a lot of good wrestling out there. Let me ask you a question. Are all of those pay-per-views? I haven't seen your list. Are all of them pay-per-views?
No.
Wow. Okay.
They are not.
All right. Good deal. Mine is, all mine are, I don't have 5, I don't think. But I think 2 of them are not pay-per-views. I can't recall. It's been a while. I didn't even write it down because I was going to have you and Mikey talk about this. And just going to interject every once in a while.
You were going to be the referee.
I was going to be the referee because Mikey has a lot to say and you'd have a lot to say about wrestling. And as you know, we try to keep these things tight into 30
Mikey.
minutes. So that's all right. Hopefully he'll come back later on. But anyway, so give me one of your matches here.
This is, I'm no order. I do think this is my favorite WrestleMania match, and it's Austin and Brett in Chicago.
Okay.
It was the infamous match where Austin passed out from the blood, and
oh yes, I know this one. Yeah,
it was just a really physical match, good emotion. The crowd was hot. It was right when Austin was getting huge. It was, you know, part of Brett's last big run, and I thought just they meshed so well. Physical style, very authentic, and it was very believable.
Oh.
So the good things about wrestling, not all the silliness.
It was. The decision was made for him to pass out from the blood?
That was the finish, that they wanted him to not quit.
Yeah.
But he would pass out.
Get beaten.
Yes.
Get beaten, but not quit.
Right.
Yeah, no, and it made
him stronger.
Made both of them look good.
Right, exactly.
Because Austin wouldn't say quit, but Brett beat him into submission. I mean, basically got him until he passed out.
Right.
So it was a good... It's where egos didn't get in the way.
Yeah, that's when you do business. I think they say somebody goes over and somebody gets over, and it benefited both of them.
Okay, good deal. Well, you know what? Just give me another one, and we'll go through Mikey's together, I guess.
Okay. The next is going to be either one of these, because they wrestled back-to-back years, and it's a toss-up on which one was better, was HBK and Taker at Mania. Mm-hmm. Shawn's retirement match against the Streak. Either one of those, I think both of them it's hard to pick either one of those.
So
and I just-
HBT. Oh, so there are two HBK Undertaker matches you're talking
yes,
about here?
back
Okay.
to back years. So
Mikey has listed WrestleMania 25 as his favorite
Okay.
of the two.
there you go. So there's a
Yeah.
match.
Either way, that those were big matches, and both of them could put on a great show-stopping.
Well, he was the showstopper.
He was the showstopper.
Yes.
But both of them put on a great show where both pops. It was just the crowds on their feet. It's electrified the whole way. There's not a single moment where, as we say, you'd be looking down at your phone.
Correct. Yes, exactly. It was enough action, but it's still enough psychology where it wasn't. It had the right mix of where the business was going, but with veterans who knew how to work a very psychological, physical style, along with high flying to some degree.
To some degree, but both of them know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Mikey is a big HBK fan, so I knew that he would have this one on his list,
Gotcha.
actually. But yes, that one is another great one as well. You give me a third one.
Okay, so this one is a WCW match.
Oh my, does he have a WCW match?
Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, 1996 Halloween Havoc.
I don't remember this, and I was watching back then. Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, this is when Ray came dressed up in one of the first times I can remember him doing like the comic book inspired outfits, and he was dressed like the Phantom.
Oh.
He looked like a big Welch's grape. And
okay, because of Halloween.
Yeah.
He had to dress up.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, he's done that his whole career where he's now, done a lot of
Right.
inspired type things. But
He's
I
a
feel like-
luchador. They wear masks and costumes anyway, so this is not much different.
I
Did it
think-
look silly?
I wouldn't say he looked silly. I
Yeah.
think it was just like I said, he's done it the rest of his career. So
Got
was
it.
one of the first times. But as far as like a match that holds up to today's very quick, high impact pinball bing, 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 bing type match, this is as good as anything you'll see. And it was two guys that were as legit as they could be. Eddie Guerrero, obviously, he's got a resume that was only stopped by him dying, and
Yeah.
Ray is still semi-active. So I would say that would be
So
in my
this
top.
So is this both of theirs best performance, or did individually they have other matches that were better?
I think-
Obviously, together as a match, it was one of your most
Right.
perfect matches. But I'm just saying,
Well, I think with both of them winning the heavyweight title later in their career, you could
That's a
definitely
big
say,
moment, yeah.
I mean,
No, I
that's
get it.
definitely. But it's
as a moment, but was the match on a scale of? Yeah, so you would say yes.
I mean, I would have to say this would be their best.
okay.
If I was going to pick a match to show somebody, it wouldn't be their title wins. It would be them against each other in this match that was, this is when WCW was featuring cruiserweights, but not
Gotcha.
in a main event level, but definitely they were show stealers, and they just came out and, as they say, tore the house down.
Yeah, it's funny because I bet you and Mikey could also do this too. I wouldn't know, but you and Mikey would probably do this. Give me 5 pay-per-views that were excellent, but the title match stunk.
Yep, that
I
would have
bet
to be
y'all
another
could-
paper.
That would have to be another. Yeah, that's another whole list.
another
there.
podcast.
But y'all would know that better than I would. So, I mean, I kind of remember one or two here or there, but I don't remember if the whole pay-per-view was great. But anyway, all right. So just thinking out loud. So what's your
Number 4.
4?
It would be, and this is kind of an odd one also. It's an empty arena match with Jerry Lawler and Terry Funk.
Oh, okay. I've seen this.
But a lot of what I like about the match is not just the quote-unquote match. It's the way the announcer Lance Russell starts it, and Terry Funk comes in the ring, and Lawler's not there, and he's just so upset and berating him and using really strong language, and it is so enjoyable to watch and so believable as Terry Funk is. It's just it's a work of art.
Now, what year was this? 70s,
I would
80s,
I would
early
say
80s,
it's got to be 80.
early 80s,
80 or
Okay.
81.
Back when he was with Smoky Mountain Wrestling, or
No,
whatever
this
it
is
was?
way before that.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's
Smokey-
it? Who is this with?
This is Memphis. This was what became USWA.
Okay, but
But
it wasn't
it-
even USWA. It was just a
It might
local
have
little.
local. But it may have been USWA by then.
It's just
but
Memphis's local, and he was the king of Memphis.
absolutely.
I mean, he was.
He and
there.
Elvis liked them young girls.
Huh? Well,
So they say.
yes. No, they didn't say it was true.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's true. He was dating. He's married to Kat in the late '90s, so she was very young
Yep.
for him.
Yep.
So
But
the legend lives on.
The announcer, like I said, anybody that has never looked into Lance Russell's work, JR is the best, but I would say Lance Russell's number 2. I would take him over Gordon Soley because Lance Russell is incredible.
Yeah.
Great voice, great presence, very authentic again.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't treat it like a clown show. Very
Yeah.
good stuff.
Good. Did they ever try to recapture that magic between the two of them?
Well, I mean, they
years
worked
later,
a lot.
were
They would
Okay.
work indie shows together and
Oh,
stuff.
okay, they did.
But,
But I mean, later on in life, you know how the king would get in there every once in a while.
yeah, I'm sure he and Funk did some stuff, but nothing.
Nothing big.
Yeah, nothing to that degree.
Was it something that they should have taken advantage of, maybe in a pay per
I-
view, like Funk
I
call
don't-
him out again and
I don't think you
relive
could
that magic?
do it.
You know how they did Hogan Warrior back in the late '90s.
Right,
They
and-
really hyped that up. I mean,
And
it
when they did it,
stunk,
and they
but-
did number 2, it was terrible.
that's true.
It
But
was
I-
a number 2.
It was a number 2, but Funk was a pretty good wrestler still back then. He could still hold his own. I mean,
No,
he
yeah,
he
I-
had slowed down, and King could hold his own.
But
they
I-
weren't at their prime.
But Terry Funk, when you watch this footage, and you watch a lot of it, that's the surrounding footage of that timeline, is a wild man. He is, when he comes on the screen, he's like, this guy feels dangerous.
yeah,
There's a part of it after that match where they shoot TV and he does a run in. He's got like a pair of jeans on and cowboy boots, not tan. Looks like he just left Denim and Diamonds or something on a Monday or Friday night, and he comes in and just slaps one of the job guys so hard, like chops him. But it's not like a flare chop. It's like somebody's mama hitting them in the grocery store so aggressively where everybody in the grocery store gets quiet
Stops.
because they're like, this woman's about to kill this kid. He hits this guy so hard. So Funk in that timeline, Funk is the most underrated wrestler of all time, in my opinion.
okay.
I just think he's brilliant and
Yeah.
totally underrated.
Well, the best thing is I mean, there's a little bit of technique in there, of course, and
Sure.
flair, character, but how you sell yourself, how you make it, how real you make it, because you get people believing in that, and grown men, even though they know it's fake, that they really get into that because of the who they are, their persona.
right.
So yeah, all right. Last one, right?
Last one is going to
Yeah.
be a match that I know you're not familiar with. That's pretty recent, and I totally fell upon this by listening to Cornette's podcast. Was not familiar with these guys' work. Being a wrestling fan, I feel ignorant for that. The Briscoe brothers. This was a Ring of Honor match.
Oh, okay.
Brother against brother on their farm. With their dad as the referee, and
Okay.
it is the greatest thing that I've seen in wrestling.
What?
Probably since CM Punk's pipe bomb interview.
What?
It is incredible, and
Briscoe
tragically,
versus Briscoe on the farm.
yes, and tragically, one of the brothers recently died.
Oh no.
So that's a whole nother story. But
But this was wrestling on a whole nother
yeah,
level.
and I didn't want to just talk about old stuff. I think this match is just incredible. We're from the South. If these guys are real redneck good old boys, and it is incredibly authentic. I keep saying that word because that's what
that's what sells it.
to me is what's important in a very show business. The authenticity behind it, and it's incredible. So
So they went all around the farm.
they went around, yes, to a certain degree.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Impressive.
Incredible.
Incredible. So it not only met but exceeded expectations.
Oh,
even
yeah,
after you hear Cornette talking about it.
Yeah, and it, you know, in the world of when we just got through all these cinematic matches where, you know, it's cut scenes and things, this was the greatest cinematic
Wow.
match I've ever seen.
So I'm guessing Cornette spoke highly of it.
Cornette's a big fan of theirs, yes.
Oh, okay. So I mean that's good because you listen to what he says, and hey, if he likes it, then it ain't gotta be too bad.
Cornette in the world of, I guess, Southern wrestling, he is our Lord and Savior, so we do kind of listen to what he says, regardless of how explicitive laden it may be.
Well, yeah. Dairy Queen, anyone?
Yeah, exactly.
You were the one that told me about the Dairy Queen.
I watched that.
Never heard about this.
I watch that at least once a month, just to, if I feel angry about something, I'm like, this is real anger, unhinged. So,
and by the way, if you haven't seen, all you gotta type in is Cornette Dairy Queen.
Yeah, and it's there.
You'll get it. Now, make sure your kids are in bed. But
the footage is grainy, but the volume is legit.
So Chris Jericho filmed that?
Yes.
He said, Chris Jericho in his autobiography said, I was the guy behind the camera.
Yeah, and you can hear Jericho egging him on.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I was laughing so hard that I probably missed that.
Yeah.
Because it is gold. It is gold.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest thing Chris Jericho. I love Chris Jericho. He gives lots of great matches, but the greatest thing he ever gave us was Cornette Dairy Queen.
Yeah, that
I
is.
mean, if he'd have given us nothing, that would have been enough. I'm shocked that the WWF didn't hire him earlier.
Yeah, it still holds up as far as unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a word. That's the word to say, unbelievable. But just epic. Epic. Because that's an in the moment. That was an in the moment. He caught it.
Yeah,
You'll never get it again. You'll never repeat it again. I'm sure he's gone off on rants before. But
many times.
But just nothing as pure and unhinged as the Dairy Queen rant.
Well, anybody that's ever that's why the term hangry is around, because when you're hungry and you can't get it, it's like a baby. Instead of crying, you become angry. And Cornette was level 5 pissed.
To say the least. All right, so I'll get to some of Mikey's. We can comment on these.
Sure.
I am familiar with all of them. He has, I knew this is one because he told me this is one before we even talked about it. I said, well, don't give me any more. But Macho Man Steamboat, Ricky Steamboat, WrestleMania 3.
Yep.
Those were his favorites as a kid. And watching that match was just groundbreaking for him. It blew his mind. It's a little, I will say there's probably, he can come back and defend himself a few weeks later. But I think there's a lot of nostalgia going on there. But also, it's a good match. It's a solid match through and through.
It is.
But also, as a kid, you're watching that. You're seeing things you've never really seen before. Just like eye-opening. So I can see how that'd be a top mark.
And I think that was the beginning of Savage, which a lot of guys, really adopted. And I think that was part of him and Dallas's relationship. That match was in a notebook, and they went over it every night, and they had spots. This is spot number 37, and you do this, and I do. So as far as that goes, Savage can be credited with that, but Steamboat was so unbelievable as a babyface and could work with anybody. Lord knows I didn't mention any of the Flair stuff with Steamboat, but as far as a WWF match, it was totally out of the ordinary because, WWF was big guys.
Yeah.
And Steamboat and Savage both came from, Steamboat mostly in the Carolinas, and Savage was from, Tennessee as well, but it's a very Southern style
of wrestling.
More action, it going.
Something they weren't used to seeing in New York.
Correct. Not to that degree. So, I can't argue with that pick.
A lot of different. Yeah, but I knew that was going to be one of his. Another one, I'm kind of surprised by this one. I wish he was here to explain it, but Hogan versus Warrior at Halloween Havoc. I'm kidding, at WrestleMania 6.
Well, I think...
Again, I do think there's a lot of nostalgia for Mikey here, but when you see your two greatest wrestlers every kid, I think, was a. It was. Is it fair to say that every kid was a Hogan Warrior fan?
I would think,
back then?
and definitely, I think what made that match special is they were one or the other. Like they were one of those two wrestlers were your favorite wrestler in that.
Era.
If you were under the age of 12,
So you would always fight on who was better.
right? So I think that is part of the allure of that match, and that was, I don't know if that's Warrior's best match. I mean, it was definitely his best probably to that point, but Pat Patterson and Hogan definitely helped pull that off.
Well, let me ask you this. Now I'm curious. What in your opinion, what is Warrior's best match?
I definitely can't tell you pinpoint what it would be, but I know he had some really good matches with Rick Rude.
Okay.
And Rick Rude is definitely
He's a
ring
professional.
general.
Yeah.
And he's going to do things the right way and get things over. So I can't say it was better than anything he did with Rude, but
Okay.
it's definitely, for a Warrior match, my God, it's incredible.
Yeah. I didn't think I'd see an Ultimate Warrior on here, by the way. But that pick came from parts unknown. I'll tell you that. All right, so his next one here, and again, I wish you would have added a little bit more dialogue to. I get this. I get the meaning of it. WrestleMania 18, Rock and Hogan.
Right. Once again, the visual of that and the crowd sold that.
Toronto, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Toronto sold that one. Changed the direction of Hogan's character.
So they say.
So they say. Oh, you think it was always supposed to be a?
I think that they knew that was going to happen.
Oh, okay.
I think that that's a great story to tell, but Hogan has always been huge in Toronto, hence the Warrior match. That was in Toronto. He had
I didn't know this.
Huge match with Mr. Wonderful in Toronto in like 85. So I think that was, they pretty much knew that was going to happen, and even in the back of their minds, they knew the NWO thing was not working already with Hall and Nash.
Yeah,
Nash was hurt. Austin didn't want to work with Hall. It was just all this like toxic energy.
Yeah.
They knew Hogan was going to spin out of that one way or the other, and I think that and Austin wasn't going to work with Hogan, so they knew, and Rock was willing to do it. I would think it would be interesting to see if crowd would have booed Austin and turned on Austin the way they did Rock.
But Rock was really at the height of his popularity too.
Yeah, I
wasn't
mean, he couldn't get any higher, I don't think.
No, not at that point.
But at the same point, you're calling on that visual of them in the ring, which could be, I think that was 2000, I think,
Okay.
2001, maybe 2001. So 10 years before that was Hogan and Warrior in that building.
That's true. I didn't think about it that way. Interesting.
Hogan, he's a politician. He knew what he was doing.
Okay. All right. Way to tear down his picks.
I'm not tearing.
All right. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I think that the match is
I'm
great to
joking with you.
watch. I'm just saying the story behind it. I think it's a little far fetched.
Okay. All right. His last one here, of course, is going to be HBK, and I didn't know which one it would be, but he picked WrestleMania 12 with Bret Hart, the Iron Man match.
Yep.
That's one that he really loved. I knew he'd have a second one on here. I honestly thought it was the Ric Flair retirement match was what he may have put down there, because that was good.
Yeah.
That was a good one, too. Flair did a great job, held up for his own, and, of course, HBK. The ending,
Yeah.
of course, classic there.
Old Yeller.
Old Yeller, that's a good one. Get a tear out of you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because he's crying, I think, in this.
Yeah,
so.
it didn't take much for Flair to cry or cut himself.
Oh, well, I'm saying HBK was crying, too.
Oh, yeah.
As his hero there.
Yeah,
But
for
anyway, he picked the Bret Hart Iron Man match. Yay, nay?
I don't like Iron Man matches because I think it takes the excitement out of when the match is going to end.
Because after an hour.
You know it's going to end at 60 minutes. So
okay. So
but
you know it's
that's
going to be
just-
one fall each. And
well,
then
at 60 minutes, it's going to go 60 minutes. It's not.
they're going to wrap up.
Right. They're not at the 44-minute mark. Someone's going to catch it, and you're
Got
like,
it.
oh, wow, I
That
didn't see
makes
that
sense
coming.
because there's not a surprise because you're okay. Well, let's see what happens at the end because
Yeah.
we know something that's okay. We know we're waiting for it. And we know exactly when it's going to be time.
For me, I think that match worked a lot better long ago than it does. I think that match was 95, 96, I think. And I think, for me, the business was about 5 years past that.
Okay, all right, fair.
But I think the match, yeah, it's hard for Brett and Sean to be involved in anything and it not be good.
All right, that's good. Two of my matches. I'll get to mine real quick because I can't recall. No, two of my matches I know for sure happened on the same night of Nitro. I want to say right after a pay-per-view. And what it was Stinger versus Goldberg.
Okay.
Sting versus Goldberg, which I thought was excellent. I mean, that was the only time that Goldberg he took more than 2 minutes. And at that point, I didn't think he could go longer than that, which is why his matches were so short. I did. Not that I hated Goldberg. I thought, you know what? You know why his matches he just plows through them? Because he probably doesn't have the, stamina.
Right.
He can't get the win. But he went a full match with Stinger, and man, the Sting brought it. I don't know if you remember this. He was Wolfpack, I think, back then.
Yeah, that's when he had the red paint.
But, I mean, it was really good. And, of course, it ends with Hogan cheering whoever, I think Sting, right before he was about to get the pin to win, of course, because Hogan wants to try to beat Goldberg. He don't want Sting to win for whatever reason. But the match overall was just really enjoyable, A, because I was wrong at the time. Goldberg did go the whole way, didn't look too winded.
Right.
And Sting put on an excellent match, when he wasn't doing that much
Right.
at the time, but hanging in the rafters looking like the Crow. So that was one. But then one earlier in the same night that I absolutely adored, the Flock had just gotten broken up. I guess in the pay-per-view prior. I don't know. I can't remember. But who broke up the Flock, by the way? Raven's Flock. Do you remember that storyline?
I don't remember.
Someone beat Raven, and if Raven lost, the Flock had to disperse.
Gotcha.
And the Flock had a good cachet of wrestlers they released out there because Canyon started getting his push. And who is better than Canyon?
Nobody.
That's what I've heard. And then Saturn, of course, got his big push, which was great. And then, boy, they waste him after they didn't know what to do with him after that. But then one guy I really loved, who I didn't know anything about, was Billy Kidman. He just burst onto the scene, went straight from the Flock to a cruiserweight title with Juventud Guerrero. Juventud, on a regular Monday night, was having these great matches against these great luchadors and winning in an amazing fashion. I mean, they were always, the cruiserweight for WCW just off the wall. It was just good stuff. So here comes Billy Kidman, his next feast. It's going to be another win by Juventud, and we're all going to cheer. And I didn't know what Billy Kidman had because all he ever did before then was just kind of jump in when Raven needed him. When Raven called the Flock,
And he would scratch himself a lot.
Yeah, he didn't do that much. But here, Billy Kidman shows that he's got moves, he got speed, and then the shooting star press, which I'd never seen done before.
He did that pretty well.
Prior to that.
It was so slow.
And that was his finishing move.
It looked
and it was
so cool.
So cool. And that he beat Juventud. I didn't think he would because Juventud was on a winning streak, and he did. And I just was like, that was just amazing to me. And that was an amazing match. So for me,
and then he married Tori Wilson. So
2 for 2 is what he's doing now. There you go. Not bad. Not bad.
I would rather have Tori Wilson do the honors than Juventud for me any day. Or I would do the honors for her. Either or.
Do you think he did a shooting star press?
I hope he did. I hope it was a close finish.
Hello. Other than that, I mean, I could not think of, because, I mean, there's lots of good matches. There's lots of good pay-per-view matches I've enjoyed. I will say that, and I can't remember when it was, but very early, the Edge and Christian versus Hardy Boys ladder match. I can't remember when that happened. I want to say that happened at No Mercy, but I cannot remember.
Yeah, it was one of those
off ones, but
the-
it was a show stealer. I
Yeah.
don't think anyone knew it was going to be that good.
Yeah.
And I mean, they went on to have other tables, ladders, chairs.
Yeah, they had a
matches that were
standing
good.
ovation the next night on Raw.
Well,
just
they
got
came
in
out,
the
shook
ring.
hands.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that. And the thing is, they should have, because it was one of the most amazing matches I'd ever seen.
And that was when I felt like the business was actually saying they were okaying the fact of, hey, let's treat this like competition, and
Yeah.
we can put these guys who were rivals in the ring together,
shake hands.
shake hands, and like the crowd would be
crowd
like,
ate it up. The crowd ate it up.
embraced both teams
Yes.
even more.
Because it was a great match. It it stole the show.
Right. It was like they needed to carry that excitement from the night before and
Yes.
say, hey, guys, y'all really did it.
Y'all go out there and take a standing ovation.
Right.
And that's what they gave them. And you know what? It worked. They didn't do that all the time.
No, they didn't.
But that one deserved one because that was something
I
special.
can't remember of another time when that
Nuh-uh.
was like that.
Yeah, that was something special. And the crowd just blew up. They loved it. They loved every minute of it because they were all there the night before.
There's nothing wrong with giving the crowd what they want. It's unfortunate that wrestling companies, feel the need not to do that.
That's true. Oh, wait. I have Vince McMahon telling me we need to stop the podcast. All right. So, folks, that's it for now. We'll see you next time on Princes of the Universe.